friends, Eric here. Today we're tackling a deceptively simple lesson from Sagrera's first lesson book. If you have been struggling with your finger picking, working out this lesson is a super effective way to start building your right hand agility. Now I know this is only 4 measures long, and one of the measures has only 1 note in it, but this lesson packs a punch when it comes to technique, especially if you're a complete beginner. We're going to be working on 3 essential left hand positions, and a finger picking pattern that would put 4 of your fingers to work. This very short lesson sets the foundation for many lessons to come, making every single minute spent on it worth it. And with a little bit of good practice, you will be playing it like a pro. Let's get started! Measure number 1. We're gonna get our finger number 3 to string number 5, fret number 3, and we're going to get finger number 1 to string number 2, fret number 1. We're gonna leave that position for the entire measure. Everything is going to happen with the finger picking pattern, which is thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. The thumb is going to play the 5th string, index the 3rd string, middle the 2nd string, and ring finger the 1st string all the time. Here we go. So it's going to be thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. And that is everything in measure number 1. Moving on to measure number 2. We take finger number 1 and we place it on string number 1, fret number 1. Our finger picking pattern is going to be the same, with the exception that the thumb is going to play the 4th string. And we go with thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. P, I, M, A, M-I. And that is it. That is measure number 2. Now let's do measure number 1 and 2 together to see the transition from one position to the other one on the left hand. So we start with measure number 1. Now when we go to the position of measure number 2, finger 1 is very close to where we're going to need it. Finger 1 right now is on string number 2, fret number 1. And for the position in measure number 2, we just need to lower it 1 string. It's a very short span of movement. If we are aware of the span of movement, we can do a smooth transition. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to use a weird position of the left hand, so finger 1 is more visible. So finger 1 is on string number 2, fret number 1. And when we want to move it for this next position, it moves very slightly and slowly as well. So measure number 3 is perhaps the most difficult one. We're going to do a big stretch of finger 2 and 4, but this is very good for our future as guitarists. So we're going to take finger number 2 and place it on string number 5, fret number 2. And then finger number 4 is going to stretch all the way down to string number 1 on fret number 3. The finger picking pattern remains the same. Now the thumb is going to play string number 5. All the other fingers play the same strings as always. And it is going to be thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. P, I, M, A, M, I. That is measure number 3. So let's see the transition from the position in measure number 2 to the position in measure number 3. Here's the thing. Position on measure number 2, we have finger 1 on string 1, fret 1. That leaves finger 2 and 4 completely free for the next position. Here is what not to do. 2 things to not do when we want to have a smooth transition from measure 2 to measure 3. Thing number 1, avoid having your fingers all the way up here. If you are here, it's going to be a very big movement to get to where we want to get in measure number 3. So avoid having the fingers all the way here, and also avoid having the fingers all the way stretched. This is also not a good position to have if we want to transition smoothly. What do we want to do then? What we want to do is prepare our fingers. What do I mean by that? Have finger 2 and finger 4 as close as possible to where we are going to need them in measure number 3. So as I play the notes on measure number 2, finger 2 and finger 4 get close to where we are going to need them for the position on measure number 3 in such a way that the movement to press the strings is as small as possible. And that is going to ensure a smooth transition and a constant flow of the music, which is something that we really, really want. Finally, measure 4. Measure 4 has only one note, which is the C on string number 5, fret number 3, which is the easiest thing to do in this lesson. So, what do we do to transition smoothly from measure 3 to measure 4? Is the same principle that we used from measure 2 to measure 3, finger preparation. As we play the notes on measure number 3, we have finger 3 completely free to have it as close as possible to where we are going to need it for the end. So, while we are playing measure number 3, finger 3 gets close to string number 5, hovering over fret number 3, in such a way that when we need it, it goes down without having to do any kind of big movement. So, let's see what to do. Finger 3 is close, and then it goes down. Let's see one thing not to do. We're playing measure 3, and finger 3 is all the way over here. So if you notice, the fingertip of finger 3 is very far from where we're going to need it for the end of the piece. This is not convenient. If we can bring it closer to string number 5, fret number 3, it's going to make the transition a lot easier to get, a lot smoother. Because there's less effort to do to get to the right spot. Some extra tips on how to keep the flow of music a little bit easier. Let's go to the transition from measure 1 to measure 2. So in measure 1, we have two fingers pressing strings, finger 3 and finger 1. And then in measure 2, we have only one finger pressing on string number 1. Now, this finger needs to be there on the 4th note of the measure. So we have open 4th, open 3rd, open 2nd, and then 1st string pressed with finger 1. So when we're transitioning from the position in measure 1 to the position in measure 2, we don't have to wait to have the position before starting the fingerpicking pattern. On the contrary, we should start the fingerpicking pattern and take advantage of those 3 open strings to get smoothly and easily to fret number 1 on string 1. Something like this. Open, 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 and play. Similarly, to transition from measure 2 to measure 3, we don't have to place the entire position of measure 3 complete with finger 2 and finger 4 from the very beginning. So we can do one finger first, then we have open string 3rd, open 2nd, and then we have string number 1 with finger 4. So if I'm playing measure number 2, and I want to transition to measure number 3, I can do it in steps. Finger 2, and then finger 4. Bring close that finger 3 to the 5th string and press. These little details on the order of fingers to get to the strings makes a big difference when we are learning a new piece and we want to keep that constant flow of music going on. If you manage to get the habit of placing the fingers in the order that we need them, instead of thinking of entire positions from the very beginning of each measure, it's going to make your life a lot easier and your learning process a lot more enjoyable as well. And there you have it. Lesson 44 has been conquered. Now I have a little tip for you. Lesson 44 pairs perfectly with lesson 45. They share the exact same left-hand positions in the exact same order. The main difference is in the finger-picking pattern. Working on both lessons in the same practice session can actually accelerate your progress. It's all about spiraling your learning. When learning a new piece, it's very common to get to a point where one feels that there's no improvement going on. This is perfectly normal, and it happens to all of us. If you ever feel stuck on a piece, don't get discouraged. Try switching to another one for a few days and then come back. You might get surprised of how much easier it seems to get when you have rested from it for a few days. For now, it's time to say goodbye. I hope this video has been useful for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, always strive for enjoying the process. Bye.